We'll start with agenda item 3.2P. Sorry, I'm just sitting there. 3.2P, discussion item on speed limits. Page 114. You bet. There's some background information there. Oh, yes, could we have a motion to accept? Thanks, Tom. All in favor? Motion's carried. Thanks, Alan.
I would move that East Hammer Hill Road, 8 miles, be posted at 100, except for over Hammer Hill and the last hill on the west side. Is that clarification? I don't know which areas. What's posted at 80 now can be moved to 90, and then everything else would be 100.
You want to go with the recommendation?
Pardon?
That the recommendation that
Yeah.
the engineers had made?
Yeah.
Good, Chair, and sorry, I didn't, when I circulated this. There we are. Thanks. So when we discussed this at the previous meeting, I didn't submit the actual full review of it. So the recommendation from AMEC at that time was for, so it's Range Road 243, everything east of that recommended to be 80 kilometers per hour, and everything west of that was recommended to stay at 100 kilometers per hour, short of an 80 kilometer zone right at the intersection here and an 80 kilometer zone at Hammer Hill Road.
But it was tested at 90, correct?
Now we have it posted at 90 all the way through, short of that intersection, or the over the hill. It's at 80 right now.
Yeah, so everywhere that's 90 can be moved to 100, and everything that's 80 can be moved to 90. It would be my my motion for that Hammer Hill Road. And then Glenmore Trail, everything would be posted at 100.
Coming from, but why not just post the whole thing at 90? If you're going to drop it to 90 at both ends, basically.
It's just at a hill, it drops to 90. Yeah. It's on that big Hammer Hill that it currently drops to
But
80.
you're basically, the east end and the west end, you're dropping it.
Yeah, because I think you can drive 100 on the rest. The recommendation is 100 on the rest.
Well, the recommendation was 80 from Nemaker Road 243 east to Highway 1.
My concern is that I know what you're saying, you can drive 100 on the rest, but nobody is going to slow down on those two, and it's going to turn into a speed trap on both ends.
It already is.
I know, so if you post it at 100, at 90 all the way through,
I think I'll stick with my motion. I don't, it's already speed trap, but being able to go 100, I think, is the main issue. I don't think we should be paving roads that we can't drive 100 on.
so what's the reason you don't want to do 100 at the east and the west end?
Because Hammer Hill. I mean, I can go 100 across the board.
So Mike, just to clarify, the engineer's recommendation was 80 kilometers an hour, although it did pass at 90 kilometers an hour. They were recommending the 80 kilometers an hour based on the fact that it was close to failing in a couple of spots. Try one more time or two more times. Oh, there you go.
All right. Yeah, so I'll just go through a few highlights of this, if you don't mind. So they did basically, so for council's history, we had paved from 243, just west of there in 2015. West of 243 was paved prior, back in the 2010, 2011 timeframe. So we did have it posted at 100, basically from 817 to 243. And then we had the whole road reviewed at this time. And their recommendation, like I say, was to keep it at 100 there. And their justification for that was Township 243 has it posted at 100 kilometers per hour. Drivers using this road are already familiar with the higher speed posted and lowering it to 90 may create questions as to why this is happening. No collision data able to justify such a change. Additionally, drivers may lose faith in how the entire road is posted and may encourage them to drive over the posted speed limit. So that's why they recommended there. I think the discussion was to not have changing speed limits, which is not ideal, to post the whole thing at 90. So that's why we went with that direction back then. As far as the areas there, so they do recommend of the east side, maintaining a posted speed limit of 80 kilometers per hour on the east portion. Although the vertical alignment with the crest and sag curves meet the requirements for 100 kilometer per hour design speed or a 90 kilometer posted speed, there are a few values that are critical, which are on the low end of the spectrum for that design speed. So that's where I say it was meeting the 90, but they felt it was a little too close to drop down to 80. So there's justifications on both ends there. I just wanted to give you a little more detail.
So I'll amend my motion to stop from fluctuating speed limits, and I'll go 100 across the board on the East Jamaica Hill Road and the Glenmore Trail from 817 west. Oh, sure. We'll make it that.
Questions or discussion regarding the motion?
I don't see there's a problem with the slowing down going over that hill. But it's a long stretch of highway, and it's a commuter sort of lane right now, like you want to miss, if you want to go into both into Calgary and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just like, I can support you at 100. I'm just thinking that the phone calls I've got on 240, the phone calls you're going to get for doing this. The phone calls you're going to get for doing this. You know, it's, how do you, it's a great road, and how do you, and there are horrible drivers out there. I don't know how you overcome that.
Yeah,
But I've had people wanting to put 240 down to 60 kilometers an hour the whole distance.
I fully
And
agree.
go 80 kilometers an hour on the gravel road. So it doesn't make, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense,
Yeah.
especially when you have, like, for example, the 36. It's one of the worst roads out there. It's
Try
if
the
you've ever-
561.
Yeah, the 560.
Way
Any
worse
provincial
than the
road,
36.
I wouldn't say I'd say our roads are much better than provincial roads, and all provincial roads are 100. So I will stick with that motion. So.
Personally, I don't think that I have the knowledge or experience to determine what's a safe road on a highway. And I think for myself, if we have engineering reports that are recommending a road, that's what I would prefer. We stay within the parameters that they're recommending. And I understand what you're saying about paving a road and like having a goal to have a higher speed. That totally makes sense. But that's not the only factor when they're determining speed limits. And I haven't investigated it enough to know what factors they do investigate, but I think it's things like approaches, your fancy vertical
effect.
curbs for hills.
I don't think the approaches were effect on the Jamaica Road.
There's obviously factors, though, that
Yeah.
they took into
But I
consideration.
don't think that was one of the main factors when it comes to the Jamaica Road. I can see it on the Rockford Road when you had the lower speed limits where your mom and dad's are, or the Acreage Road. But I don't think the Jamaica Road counts.
But there's obviously some factors, and I'm saying I don't know what they are, I haven't read the report, but there's obviously some factors that a professional at assessing this has analyzed and made recommendations for these speeds.
So through the chair, like I say, there are a number, like you say, a number of different factors. Crest, sag curves, the sight distance over those stopping distance at intersections, the number of approaches, they're all taken into account. And they kind of preamble this, every one of their reports with a statement that as per the design standards, raising or lowering the speed limit has little effect on a driver's speed choice, and no statistically significant changes are observed on severity or total number of collisions. So to be more effective, posted speed limits need to be more consistent with prevailing topography and development conditions. Posting a speed limit too close to the running speed will lower the number of drivers in violation. On the other hand, lowering the speed limit makes a large portion of reasonable drivers in violation of the speed limit, places unnecessary burden on law enforcement and lack of credibility. So they do have that disclaimer preamble in there, and everyone they do.
Well, let me just read out the motion that Councillor Wilson has on the floor, just to make sure everybody understands. So it'll be Glenmore Trail from 817 where it starts to the county boundary on the west end of the county. And then the Hammer Hill Road from 817 to Highway 1. Both posted at 100 kilometers an hour.
Any questions or discussion regarding the motion on the floor?
So you're saying 817 west too as well? What about that part where it comes down the hill, where it tees? It's dropped down substantially.
You gotta stop for that road sometime.
Yeah, I mean, stop something, I can't stop somebody from try to make everybody, those good drivers coming from
I can see your reasoning because when you come into Langdon from Calgary, there is no speed reduction until you hit that four-way stop. There's zero. It's 100 right up to that stop. And I'm surprised it's never changed, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, when you're coming from the west.
There's rumble strips, and we have rumble strips and everything, so.
I think 840. What's the standard road? 847? 840? It's, does it slow down at the new four-way stop there? Or is it 100?
At the
No, it's
school.
100.
Yeah, so you
At the
gotta slow
school?
down for the stop, no, north.
Oh.
You gotta stop at the stop sign. I mean,
So on Hammer Hill, is it like straight over the hill down? I haven't been for quite a while.
not, I drive it,
Is there any curve in there at all?
no, straight over.
There is an access on
Their
the,
big issue is sight distance,
I
right?
don't know how fast you gotta go to get air
Sight
on that,
distance?
'cause I haven't been able to go fast enough to get
On Hammer Hill? Is that their big issue, is the sight distance?
and there's an access right there.
Yeah, there's an actual range road intersection.
There can only be three,
Oh, mine's,
yeah, there.
Yeah, so that was part of the reduction over Hammer Hill, definitely was the sight distance, the number of approaches on top of that hill, and the actual range road intersection that we did realign, but still doesn't meet any kind of safety standard on there, so. That is the one concern I would have with that motion, was the road crossing over Hammer Hill there.
Would you take a friendly amendment to address the Hammer Hill Road? The hill part. I know who lives there, it's a guy I went to school with, so. And I know, I've been there when I've seen the trucks going over there.
I also know who lives there and who uses both roads. There's a brand new house, cousin of mine to the south. I know exactly where it is and how busy it is. And I don't feel the need for amendment.
I understand the concerns, but through the chair, the 564 going east of 56, you don't have to go very far on that one. You go 1 mile on that one, then there's an approach into a yard that the county built back in, I don't know, sometime in the 80s. They changed the approach from the top of the hill. It was on the top of the hill. Remade when they were rebuilding the hill, and then they changed the approach and put it over the crest of the hill and put the approach there. So when you're coming at it from the west, from the east, it's lots of visibility. When you're coming at it from the west, you don't even know that approach is there till you top the hill. And if somebody's pulling out of there with a B train or a 3-ton truck or something, all hell can break loose. The government doesn't give a damn. It's posted at 100 kilometer, 100 all the way through. No issue. It's no different than Hammer Hill, it's no different than the 564 going east and west of those hills. It's a sight distance issue, and there's roads coming off them halfway down the hill where you couldn't stop a B train if you tried to, coming down there if you're full. To me, we build these roads, and I know the engineers are, if we're gonna post them at 80 kilometers, then leave them gravel. Why are we putting pavement on these roads? We build roads, we allow sight distance. Every time you build a road and open the sight distance up, it's like turning kids loose in a hall. If the dance floor is full of people, they're no problem. If there's nobody on the dance floor, the kids are out there just burning up the road, just giving it. The same thing we're doing to our roads. We're building them for the traveling public to travel on, and then we try to slow them down on them. If you want them to go slow, leave the roads rough. They'll go slow.
And talking, I drive 100 on that road, except for the hill. Whether the speed limit's going to be 80, 60, 100, I'm going to slow down on that hill because that's my comfort level. But it's also going to be then if somebody is going 100 and nothing happens, they're okay. It's you can't fix stupid. Being cautious as a driver is something you're supposed to be.
The way our vehicles are built now, and there isn't very many people driving out there that doesn't have speed control on their vehicle. You turn on a highway and you head out, you set it at 100K, and you sit back and relax. And very seldom does a hand ever go onto that reduction. You stay at 100 till you get to the next intersection.
But what Jason's saying is that he knows the road and he knows that he should slow down. But you've got travelers on there that don't know the road. So are they going to have that same, it is up to us too to warn those people that they should slow down too.
You can have a
If there's people traveling on that road that don't know the road and the speed limit is 100, that doesn't mean you have to do 100. If you don't know the road, then your comfort zone should slow you down to 90, or if you're coming up and you're not sure what's over the hill, then slow down to 80. Just because it says 100 doesn't mean you have to do it. But if it says 80, then you get a ticket for doing 100.
Yeah, through the chair, I would recommend, well, I'd say that we can have a cautionary sign in there that still remains legislated 100, but for the drivers that aren't aware of the conditions, we could have a cautionary 80 sign on there as well. So, yeah.
make that amendment. I will accept that amendment to have a cautionary speed limit sign on both sides of the Hammer Hill. A hidden intersection sign right at the top. I retract that amendment. I retract that amendment, if that's the proper way to do it.
Any, any further questions or discussion? There's a motion on the floor. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
I will also make another motion to put a cautionary sign on both sides of the Hammer Hill and a hidden intersection sign. Yeah, sure. That's good. Let's just real toy with people. I think that's a good meeting in the middle, guys.
Any questions or discussion?
Well, I don't know, what are those people putting in that fence? We might need that.
Maybe.
What is
It's the
going
zoo.
Oh, the zoo, okay.
All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. I believe we just have, excuse me, correspondence left. Oh, yes.
Oh, and you know what? I apologize. I had another road that there's been no. I would also ask, go ahead.
The Duck Lake Road now is finished, final. It's all done. The environment's cleared up that one area where they had to do some side sloping. That's cleaned up.
Sorry, no, we haven't got that.
Does it affect the speed limit on there at all? Because I'm getting lots of comments from that area. When is the speed limit going to match what's on the south?
So through the chair, we do have a remainder of side slope rehabilitation, hopefully this spring that we were planning. And that time, the speed assessment is done for that already based on that improvement being done. So we
Okay.
should see that in the early spring here.
So if I put a motion on the floor to sign that entire stretch from the 564 to the 561 to 100K. No, no. No, same as all the other roads in the county are 100. The 561's 100, the 569's 100, the 56 is 100. They're all, so put it at the same as the rest of them all the way through. And even at those intersections where they've said that the 250 intersection is, I don't know why what their reasoning is for lowering it there any more than they would at 252 or. But anyways, I'll put a motion on the floor to put the whole road at 100, okay? Now that the construction is done and the paving is completed. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a motion on the floor. Any questions or discussion? Yes.
Just maybe just put out for council, any consideration on cautionary signs around those two bends north of Township 250 or? Okay.
Questions or discussion? All in favor of Ben's motion? Motion is carried.
Mike, I just have a question. There's never been a speed assessment done on the East Clooney access? And it's posted at nothing right now? It's 80. Yeah. I'd also put a motion that it'd be 100. So.
I know what you're talking about. Right there where it comes into Clooney though, that last quarter of a mile, half mile, that is a dangerous corner. When you come in from the east and that curve that's in there, that's more curve in there than what you realize if you're.
I just drove it the other day, and I don't think it's.
I know, but it'll it will take you that last, you know which portion I'm talking about where it comes.
Can I go 90?
Yeah, I would,
I'll go 90.
I would.
I'll go 90 on the.
Yes. You can take them off Hammer Hill.
Yeah, I'll move that the
Lots
East
of them.
Clooney access is 90.
Any
well.
questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried.
Yeah, it got passed.
Glenmore was included with Hammer Hill.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question? Would council like us to continue providing the speed assessment advisories from the engineering professionals, or would you rather us not provide that information in the future, please?
It doesn't matter. It didn't really go. Probably
What's
a
an
waste of money.
approximate cost for an assessment on a new paved road? Just ballpark.
Jeez, Louise. I would just hope that, just to add on to Alan's comment, I would just hope that any paved road that can be 100 should be 100. So, yep. 250 has to be. You're meeting up with, McCullough. McKnight.
Do we want the analysis done for speed on future roads when they're complete?
Can it be like each road can be different? Like if we feel like 250, there's probably enough reason to have it done.
My question, through the chair, my question back to Mike would be, when we engineer these roads, they're engineered for what speed?
So, through the chair, because I think I mentioned that last time, that we have such a high standard with the transportation guidelines that we can almost never meet a 100-kilometer-per-hour posted speed as part of those guidelines.
We
So
can't
we
meet it?
cannot, yeah. So they are posted, they are designed for a maximum 90 posting. Because to go above and beyond that, the standards are so much higher between 90 and 100.
Then where does the province get off signing their roads?
Exactly. And after we've had this discussion with AMEC a few times, just to see, to verify, because I think I mentioned that before, they have AT standards, they have Transportation Canada standards, and they're both very high, and then they have the rebuild standards, basically. When they rebuild a road, there's a much lower standard because it's an existing road. And that is where I've asked them for that position paper to basically verify which standards we're designing and what we're posting these up to. So that is not finalized yet, but I'd hope that we're just doing the rebuild standard, which is a lot lower.
Yeah, because it's frustrating when you look at something like the 561 from 70-mile corner to Hazard. That's been the lifts they've put on there, and as narrow as that road's getting and the shoulders that road's got, that they still leave it sitting at 100, don't even worry about it. And we're worrying about roads that we've got. That doesn't make sense to me at all.
No, and I've relayed that even last week to AMEC, how unsatisfied we are with these designs and how we will not be doing them in the future if that's like really what you said. Why pave them if we can't drive them to what they are comfortably driven to? So they are, that's what I say, they're looking in there.
To go just 100 on a freshly paved road? Yeah.
Just drive a minivan, it's easy. Just push the button and it does it. All right. Any further discussion on the speed limits? So I think now we'll move to correspondence 4.1. There's several fact sheets for the Local Authorities Election Act updates. Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Actually, the library.
Jason's just having a perfect day. There's an invitation from Rocky Ford Lions for their 5th annual Bullarama. Workers' Compensation Board. Yep, I'm just going through. People can, anything
So
that,
can we just take a pause there?
yeah,
I wanted to ask,
absolutely.
so, yeah, if they're looking for funding, have we done it in the past?
No, but we have done other Bullaramas in the,
I'm asking specifically about these ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, rather than a cash sponsorship, is there any other necessities they'd be interested in, like,
Through the chair, I would caution, because we have Standard, we have Gleason, we have Hazard, we have Carsland, we have, how much do we want to give to each one of them?
well, I'd like to point out, Councillor Armstrong, that we did, the water truck and,
Yeah,
for Carsland and Strathmore, we did quite a bit for their Ag Society, for their event. So why can't we do this?
we've done that over the years. We have supplied equipment to do that. Hazard, when they had it at the different ones, that's different than giving them cash.
Yeah, but that's, would you rather give them cash?
No?
Well, that's what I'm asking. Is there a different
They're
option?
quite well established, so they
Gotcha.
probably don't need like the
Yeah, but I
dirt
think we
work
could
or the.
offer, we could at least offer, if you guys need anything other than cash, because that's, we didn't give cash to Cars Land. We gave them, what did we give them, Donna?
Groundwork.
Groundwork. So if we were to offer them something like that rather than cash.
Another option is we as individual counselors, like, we could go together and each pitch in whatever.
Don't be volunteering my bullfighting.
Not services,
Oh, you
strictly
know-
cash.
We could do the bull poker as a council.
No, thank you.
Okay.
I've been having surgery, I don't want to do it again.
There can only be 3 That's why they're free.
Yeah. So same, I think we should ask if there's some other work they might need up to whatever we pick. Like they might need some other work in town or somewhere or at the rec center or something, because that's exactly what's happening to Cars Land. This year, they would like to keep Wheatland as a sponsor, but they don't need to really work by where the Bullarama is now. They would just need a little bit of gravel and some work done at the ball diamonds. So they would like to use the work in Cars Land somewhere else and still be, Wheatland be a sponsor. And it actually shows good faith that Wheatland's name would be up there too.
So I'd like to point out that we have curb funding, that we just went through that, and if these groups wanted money or something to build, that's what that's there for. I have no problem with equipment, water trucks, things like that. I'm not comfortable giving cash, public dollars to anybody other than what provides the service. This is something that is done by individual municipalities.
Yeah, I fully agree. No, I don't feel comfortable giving a cash handout, but curbs go to organizations. I look at these as events that bring people. Yeah, but they're events that bring a number of people in. And I think it's really important to show that if somebody's coming from Nehill or Strathmore, that we as a municipality are involved in these events and support.
Are these events a private person setting them up?
No. Egg Society.
But some of them, I've been involved in other municipalities where they have Bullaramas that are run 100% private. And like even the beer gardens and everything, and all that money does not go back to the community.
These do.
Okay, that's good.
The other thing to note with this one is it is Rocky Ford's 100th, like anniversary centennial celebration. So it's kind of a unique one. I would reiterate what Scott said. We do have the curb program already in place. This isn't like an urgent need. So I would prefer seeing non-urgent things go through curb. And then if there's an urgent matter, say that they are planning something new, like they have in some of the community standard Cars Land recently, where we've had requests for groundwork or gravel or things like that, but maybe the projects weren't planned prior to the curb application process, or they hadn't anticipated what they might need.
So through the chair, that the curb funding does go into those communities prior to the one weekend event that they have throughout the year, which allows them to have that one weekend event. So the curb funding does go in. That's what keeps their, but the weekend thing where they need the water truck for dust control and that kind of stuff, it's just.
If it's okay with council, I will relay that to the president of the Lions Club, that we will be more than happy to offer other sort of service than cash. If that's, I would ask council to approve. I'll move that.
Madam Chair, before you make that motion, I think we need to understand what they're requesting. Because for us to give a water truck, it's not that simple. We have other projects that are on the go, so it's about timing, it's about what they're asking for. So I think you got to be careful on having an open-ended request put out there.
If Councillor Wilson would be comfortable going back to, I believe we received this from the Egg Society. Yeah, Rocky Ford Lions, Egg Society, both. So if you would liaison and see if there is any kind of donations in kind or services that could be of assistance, and if you could bring that back, and we can check with administration if it works with our projects that are already in motion.
Sounds good. I will do that.
And then I think if we want to, after, we can talk about it as a council, if we want to support the event through attendance and whatnot.
I will be there,
Yeah, I will. be too.
flanking bulls.
Lastly, there's the, excuse me, sorry, the day of mourning from WCB, indicating they'll be lowering their flags to half-mast. Alan, do we just automatically do that when it's something that comes through the province, or
We get about 5 requests a week,
do you?
so I judge on which ones are important. This one we have always done.
I thought we had done
half-masting,
this in
yes.
the past. Perfect, thank you. And then there's a, excuse me, sorry, a letter from Carsland and District Community Association and the Agricultural Society about the outdoor skating rink.
Speak on this. So there was 144 of these letters given to me the day after our council meeting on the budget. So I wanted to make sure that you guys saw it. So I've put it in here. And also, I would like to request that we set a date for your, because in the motion, it was that we were going to have a town hall meeting, and we'd like to make sure that we get that done and booked, is what I kind of was requesting. So I just wanted everybody here so we could pick that date, and I can start making sure that everybody knows about it.
Do you want all of council at that meeting?
I think the motion was all of council, but I don't.
You want me there, Don?
Except for Jason.
Except for Jason.
If Council Wilson could find something else to do that evening, that'd be okay.
Maybe go to the library.
Yeah. Let's see your calendar.
I'm usually busy Tuesday nights.
I really worry about people in the field right now. So,
Drive their kids in to go on a skating rink?
no, to come to the town hall meeting.
If there's seating.
Yeah, so I was thinking, they were not. Okay, that evening, I will have a farmer stand up. So I was just thinking like June 4th. It's okay, go ahead.
That's a Tuesday, I can't go.
I don't know, I just, whatever day. We can handle you, I think.
June 4th.
Does that work with everybody? Yeah, that's what my thoughts were.
So just one comment in regards to that, I think that works fine. I guess just to caution council, we don't want to delay it too long, because if we're going to get the construction done this summer, we don't want to be making a decision in September, because it realistically, but I think June will be fine. I think we'll still have enough time, just to keep that in mind, so.
So do I need a motion? Don't know, 7 o'clock? Oh. So I make a motion that we have the town hall meeting June 4th, as long as the hall is available. We'll have it at the hall. And have it at 7 o'clock. I also like to request, what do I do with the rest of these letters?
I threw all mine out.
I'm totally okay with that. It's just that we didn't have this at that time that motion was done, and the one that made the motion isn't here today. So if you want to rescind, if he wants to rescind that motion, I'm okay with that too.
Alan, can you remind us what the motion was, please?
It's going to be the same repeat.
There was no specific motion. We just said that we would engage with the community. That's council decision. If council's okay with that, we don't have to do engagement. If that's what council wants, just a motion in that regard, that would be fine.
We know where it's going to go. We know the product that we're putting in. What is there to discuss? We're putting lights on. It's going in the same spot. It's going to better boards. Like, what are we going there to do? I don't see it. I see it's in the budget. I see we have people that want to have it done. I'm okay with it.
So just to satisfy the people that sent you all them letters and did all that, and it might be nice for them, for you to put a motion on the floor that considering the response from the community to the blah, 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 council's moving forward with the project in Carsland. That gives them, thank you for putting the letters in place and sending them in. Otherwise, you're not recognizing them for what they did.
Yeah, I'll move that Donna personally responds to every one of those letters, and I mean, that'd be a very polite thing to do. You'd probably get reelected.
You want to make a motion, Donna?
Oh, I think Ben, did Ben do that motion?
He suggested a motion, I believe. It'd be best coming from you.
Eat this, Jason.
Do you want
Okay.
to see them?
So if Ben, if that wasn't a motion, I'll make that motion, that we thank the people that took the time for the letters of support for the curling rink, and that council at this time feels that it's in the budget and we will move forward in the 2019. Did I say curling? In the 2019 skating rink project.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is, oh, opposed? Motion is carried.
Is there any crayons?
Pardon? Or the area counselor? What's,
They know my position on that.
or even from both of us, is that acceptable with council? If it's signed by myself and Donna?
Yeah, perfect. Really good.
All their addresses here.
We'll co-sign it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You want to bring it in for a hug, John?
Does somebody want to make a motion to go in camera, please? Oh, no, we need a motion to accept correspondence. Thanks, Jason. All in favor? Motion is carried. And now a motion to go in camera, and then you can do that on your way there. Ben moves. All in favor? Motion is carried. We need a motion to come out of camera.
So moved.
Jason's moved. All in favor? You have a motion from business arising from in
I'd like
camera?
to make a motion to direct administration to look into water and wastewater servicing for Northwest 924, 25th, 24, with a potential for some rec reserve acres in there as well. And the landowner, sorry? Make a motion for administration to look into servicing from the town of Strathmore, Northwest 924-25, west of the 4th, water and wastewater servicing, based on a land use plan to be submitted? Just servicing? With also some potential there for recreation reserve. MR, municipal reserve? Okay, okay. Okay. What Ben said. For MR.
I'm doing that exact same thing with my garden.
Is there any,
That's, sorry, just a question, just to clarify, that's to work with the landowner on that, correct?
and any municipal, and if there's municipal, intermunicipal discussions that need to take place? Is there any questions or discussion on the motion? All in favor? Motion is carried. And I believe that's it. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Tom has moved. All in favor? No? You're voting with your chin? All right.